Hello and welcome to Camp Xbox. There's no secret that I love a good racing game, and the original Xbox has so many to offer. There's an incredible lineup of titles, from Project Gotham Racing to Forza, but let's go old school and travel back to the beginning of vehicle racing with a chariot racing title. I'm talking about Circus Maximus Chariot Wars. It's an Xbox exclusive in North America and a hardcore chariot racing game with all of the speed and brutality you would expect. I played through it recently, and I want to give you a rundown of its history, how I felt about the game, and its lasting impact. First, I want to thank my YouTube channel members for their support, and let's race on in to this game's history. Looking back and researching the history of Circus Maximus wasn't the best. There's not a lot of information about this game, and there's only small previews before its release. But many websites only ran light pieces that built up the game's unique setting. The studio behind the game, Kodiak Interactive, had been around since 1998, and they had produced a few WCW games. However, Circus Maximus was their big original idea. With a long-lasting interest in chariot racing thanks to classic films like Ben-Hur and the 2000s Gladiator movie that had just won Best Picture, it seemed the perfect time to launch a gladiator-themed racing title. The original publisher for this game was Hasbro, but Infogrames bought them, and Circus Maximus was left behind in this deal. Which is a bit sad since the game was ready for a late 2001 release. Luckily, Encore Inc. picked it up in time for an early 2002 release. However, rumors were circulating that Kodiak Interactive faced significant financial issues before its release. Hopefully, the game would receive the love and attention they thought it deserved and would help them out of their financial issues. Circus Maximus Chariot Wars was released in North America for the Xbox on February 26th, 2002. In Circus Maximus, the story is kept to a bare minimum. The game only introduces you to the setting and what you must do. The game is set in the height of the Roman Empire, and you get to choose from an extensive list of fighters and chariot drivers. Your objective is to cross the finish line first, but more is needed for the spectators who have come to watch. You control both the driver and fighter, and you must work together and defeat the other racers by killing or destroying their chariots. This will earn you fortune and fame. This is the central premise of the game. However, don't expect a Ben-Hur style biblical epic. Instead, you get to experience the rise to fame and glory for the team that you choose to pick. The game's main menu offers a variety of options, each with its own unique features. Quick races allow for instant action, while multiplayer lets you compete with friends. The Academy serves as a tutorial, and the tournament mode is the game's story mode, where you start from the lowest level of races and work your way up to the top. While it would have been great to have cutscenes or text crawls for different teams in tournament mode, the game's focus is on its arcade-style chariot racing gameplay, not about telling a story. If you're starting Circus Maximus, it is highly recommended that you begin with the Academy tutorial mode, as the game mechanics are unlike other racing games of the time, and the controls are somewhat unusual. First, you must hold down the A button enough to reach the sweet spot in the middle of the stamina bar. If you hold it too long, your horses tire out, and if you don't press it enough, you will move too slowly. You control the movements and turns of your chariot with the left stick, and you can make tighter turns by holding L or R, but the game requires management of your chariot. The back of your chariot is on a different axis, so if you take a tight turn, the back of the chariot will tilt. Using the right stick, you must balance it out. Additionally, you manage the fighter's attacks on your cart by pressing the face buttons. When you get close to another chariot, you will automatically focus on them, and you can attack, block, and do combos enough to stun them and use a finishing move. This might seem like a lot to handle in a racing game, but the tutorial gradually introduces you to each aspect and by the end of it, it all makes sense. Most of the time you're focused on racing, and during fights you don't have to hold down the acceleration button since you're already moving, allowing you to concentrate on the combat. It's like playing two games in one, and the gameplay always feels seamless. The two elements complement each other and are never so complicated that they detract from one another. I've never experienced this in a game before, and although the fights are straightforward, it's incredibly satisfying to knock out another cart and speed your way to victory. The primary game mode you'll be playing is the tournament mode. In this mode, you'll need to choose a cart, horse, driver, and gladiator, all based on different locations such as Africa or Rome. Each of these elements has different stats, like some carts being faster or having better handling, and some fighters having a better reach but less power. You can mix and match all these elements to create the best combination for you. However, whoever you choose won't affect the tournament process, and you'll spend most of your time racing. You'll start in the first location for every character, and earn denarii, the game's currency, to unlock the next races and death matches. Participating in races can earn you denarii, but you must knock out opponents to earn it as well, and this is the most profitable way to earn it. It gives you a reason not to try to lead too hard in first place, but instead stay back and knock out enemies to get to the next stage in the tournament. It's a great incentive, but it's pushed to the extreme here. The grind for denarii is insane, to the point where sometimes I have to replay the same level 3 or 4 times in a row to move on. And this is doing the exact same laps over and over again just to build up enough money to unlock the next track to do that all over again. They try to improve this by allowing you to race on mirrored versions of the tracks, but these tracks are incredibly long. 3 laps on some of the early courses take around 15 minutes to run through, resulting in 45 minutes to an hour spent on the same exact course to move on. What's a fun race at first becomes a bit of a grind once you start to move on. I will say the later courses do get shorter and shorter, and those are fun, but the grind at the beginning is a lot. Fortunately, the game has a deathmatch mode to spice up the action. In this mode, you race in small arenas with the objective of getting 5 kills before the match ends. It's a fun and fast-paced experience that I enjoy because it's all about managing your speed and choosing the correct targets to take down before your opponent can steal your kill. I wish there were more of these modes or less time spent on a single track to get to these points. Despite the repetitive nature of the gameplay, I found this game to be very enjoyable. Ramming carts and knocking out opponents never stopped being fun. However, there's some rubber banding, which means enemies catch up to you quickly. Therefore, winning isn't about being first for the longest really, it's more about keeping your opponents behind you by attacking them. Usually rubber banding would be a nuisance, but in this game it's a way to earn more money, and fighting is one of the more enjoyable aspects of the gameplay. You can also pick up power-ups from the road that provide speed boost, shields, and one-shot weapons to take down opponents. The courses themselves are well designed, and I love the amount of shortcuts available. Each course is designed to feel dynamic with rocks and trees falling in your path. However, the courses are too long, and going through laps can be tedious after a while. The game's multiplayer mode will make this game better overall, because the fighting system would be more challenging against real opponents. Combining fighting and racing games in a multiplayer mode sounds like an excellent experience. Circus Maximus has some shortcomings, such as awkward controls, repetitive moments, and lengthy courses, but overall, it's a fun game. The main features of the game work effectively, and I really enjoyed the satisfaction of running carts off the road or into walls. This game is best enjoyed in short bursts rather than extended periods, and it only demands that you stick around for a short time. However, playing with friends could make this an excellent party game for a few hours. The game offers a lot of entertainment, but it may become monotonous over time. Whether or not you can handle the game's short-lived excitement in short bursts is entirely up to you. Circus Maximus is not a game that stands out graphically on the Xbox. While it's not inferior by any means, the character models feel like they need to be more fleshed out, and the overall look is reminiscent of a Dreamcast or arcade title from a few years back. Although, it looks fine, and does what it needs to. It just could be better, especially considering the emptiness of some of the courses. There are some courses that have a lot of fun small details that help spruce them up. Since all of these courses occur across different locales, there is no asset swapping and each race feels new. I love the Egyptian course where you race across old statues and tombs, or the Roman course where you go up Colosseum stairs and through city streets. These levels are full of shortcuts and their design looks excellent. It's more in the Colosseum level and a later snow level that the game's weaknesses show. The Colosseum level is the quintessential track layout for chariot racing, where it's in a stadium and very small. But the stadium looks empty, and the snow level is barren and just filled with ice. There's a little too much emptiness in some of these levels, yet it makes up for it in a variety of different looking areas. So at least if you're grinding for a new place to race in, you're guaranteed something new. The game developers did a great job of paying attention to small details like the chariots, such as the animations of the wheels breaking off and the horse movements. The fighting on the back of the chariots looks smooth, and the animations never look jagged despite repeating animations. However, I wish the character models just looked better, but there is a wide variety of characters to choose from. Graphically, the game succeeds in being full of different looks, showing that the developers put a lot of care into it. Even the tiny details of the chariots, horses, and character animations show the developers' attention to detail. Overall, I'd say it's a solid looking game that does its job well, but it could have been much better. The audio work in this game is decent. I wouldn't say anything stands out, but nothing is below average. Each fighter has a different voice and unique voice lines, which is a positive aspect, although there is some repetition. It's not grating though. It's amusing to hear different chariot racers hurling obscenities at each other. The ambience of whips and sword slashes in the air adds to the game's frantic feel. The hooves on the ground, trampling, and the crashing of chariots all work together to make races feel more intense. The music tries to achieve this with huge orchestral pieces and choruses. If you think of the score to Gladiator, this is in the same vein as that, but not as grandiose or memorable. It's acceptable. I wouldn't listen to it on its own, but it does add to the racing. It blends into the background at some points and never feels like it complements the races as much as it should. There are no negatives with the sound in general, and sound effects are well done. I just hope to get something more engaging out of the music, and a few more lines for each racer to say. Circus Maximus Chariot Wars is a game that has its fair share of flaws, such as a significant amount of grinding required to progress and graphics that, while not bad, don't really stand out. However, despite these issues, the game is very entertaining. Even when the race course seems to last too long, there's something addictive about keeping your speed while attacking other chariots, slamming into them, and making them wreck. At times, I had so much fun playing this game, and when it delivers a good time, it does an excellent job at it. The flaws, which mostly bog down to grinding and long courses, stop it from being a great game though. Apart from the game mechanics and racing, after an hour or two you should put it down and come back a few days later. It's not a game that's easy to replay throughout the day because of its repetitive nature, but the core that's there is genuinely entertaining, and it was a game I was happy to keep returning to. It's flawed, but it's a good time. On my ranking list of every game I've reviewed on the channel, Circus Maximus enters at 52 out of 79. I preferred it over NASCAR Heat 2002 because it's a more exciting racing title, but I'd rather go back and explore Ty the Tasmanian Tiger. After its release in 2002, Circus Maximus received mediocre reviews overall. On Metacritic, it holds a score of 67, which is considered mixed by the website. Most review scores averaged around 7s and 6s out of 10, with some noting the game as fun, but finding the gameplay uninteresting. Few loved it, and some hated it. IGN gave it a scathing review, rating it 3.8 out of 10, stating the game wasn't even remotely fun. Official Xbox Magazine gave it a 6.5 out of 10, noting that the game's graphics were not impressive. Nowadays, most people have forgotten this game due to its mediocre reception. The general opinion that I gather online is not very positive. While there are a few people who feel nostalgic about it, I usually see a lot of negativity. On the user aggregate website Backlogged, it holds a rating of 2.3 out of 5, with only 20 people saying that they've played it. It's understandable why it has been lost to time, as the game overall has a lot of issues. However, the mechanics of the game are a lot of fun. The game could have been improved in a sequel, but unfortunately, after this game, and a Monsters Incorporated game in the same year, the developer Kodiak Interactive succumbed to their financial troubles and went defunct, ending any hope for a sequel. Yet, a few chariot racing games have popped up over the years, from minigames in Assassin's Creed to a Ben-Hur game released for free to coincide with its movie remake. Even though that game was awful, there's at least still spots of chariot racing games in video games today. But that does wrap it up for today, and if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like. Leave a comment below if you have any memories with this game, or if you're just interested in it. I'd love to hear from you. Also subscribe to keep up with the Retro Xbox content. I want to give a huge shout out to my YouTube channel members. Thank you so much for your support, and I'll see you here next time at Camp Xbox.